Yes, my lord. So let's start with that party. With the Bingy House, Sister Marley, Scotch Past, and exactly what is taking place there, and especially in relation to Bobo Shanty Hill, because someone's mentioned it too, that Bobo them have to check themselves too with that them same thing. And we were just talking about things being official and legal and licensed. So yeah, yes, it's a big question.
Big question. Now, starting with Bobo Hill through I and I Shanty. Right now, as a Shanty priest, it's unsettling to know that you can just lose your sacred space just like that. You understand? Not having any paperwork, to validate your being there or being, or having ownership to it. Now, there is ways in which this has prompted an old approach that is not new, but it might be new to some. But there's an old approach that was being taken from in the days of the Millennium Council's AD, where they were trying to negotiate with the government to land grant those sacred spaces that Rastafari are on right now, like Bobo Hill, Pitford, like to see him. Scotch Pass is private, but like Aboriginal Earthquake, we're out in St. Anne's where them big eyes is out there. So those couple plots on Pinnacle that is supposed to be handed over to the movement. Wherever Rastafari is sacred space, Mama Fire, can't forget Mama Fire's place out Anatomy there. See, all those places are places that we have on a list that we are requesting government to grant over to INI as part of INI reparations for the atrocities that were perpetrated against INI. That is one approach to it. The next approach is Rastafari have the most profitable, the most lucrative what is going on? Yeah, the most lucrative brand right now that we should not be crying poverty. We are crying poverty because we lack leadership. And why I'm saying this is that we need to work towards our independence and stop looking for government to do. Yes, reparations is a total issue by itself, and reparation is a legal issue that has to be challenged in court legally and all of that. So that is a total separate thing. You see this thing of handout, the mentality that has been developed by the poverty that we are under. We have to get away from it, because we have a strong brand. Rastafari brand is strong, whether it is in the medical or recreational marijuana space, whether it is in craft, whether it is in music, it's art, or in theater, it's a strong brand. And if we have organization, if we form companies, management companies and different companies that function in those spaces, we can market our brand and create an economic system from it, Rasta.
Of course.
Where we can stop having to beg when our elder is sick or pass, or beg for every little thing, or looking for the charity part of things all the time, and I think that is coming from our religious state of mind again, No.
So that
the Garvey lesson is for do for ourselves, and we can't do it for ourselves.
That advocating for these sacred spots to be, if you want to say, legitimatized then, or legalized or whatever. So that never go through yet. It's still.
No, we have been doing it, but it has never. This is the closest it has come.
Yeah. I hear.
This is the closest it has come because this government is accommodating certain reasoning through the Minister of Culture, who is more Rasta friendly, than most. Not the rest of our organization. I'm not endorsing the Jamaica Labour Party. I'm endorsing Babs the Grange as the Minister of Culture, because she is very fair-minded and approachable. So because of that, we have an opportunity to engage her, who she will in return or go to her parliament or whatever and put it to them and get approval if you know, if it can be done. But we need to create that approach. We need a solidarity. We need administration again. So if all the houses are in shambles, scrambling for administration, how do we create that international administrative body? How do we do it? Because if everything is in transition mode right now, and time don't wait on no man, you know, as I'm saying, when an opportunity is opened up, you have to be prepared to seize it. Because if not, that time passes and that opportunity exists no more, no longer. You know, so like I'm saying, you have to seize the iron while it's hot. And that is, we are in that time right now. We are in the time. The man say organize and centralize. This is the centralizing time, not the organizing time. We have long since organized. So we can approach the government now for the governments, because of the whole human rights racism issue that has become world recognized. We have an opportunity to make our voices heard and to demand justice for what has been done to us, you know. But if we don't have that voice to go out there, nobody's paying attention to a splintered group coming with 10 different things and all them little things there, you know, Bridget. Once you listen to structure, you have an entity. This entity is speaking on behalf of the Rastafari nation. This is what the voice of Rastafari says. And that entity now represents that voice. Then we are able to be heard, and we will have to be heard, because we become a force to be reckoned with and not a force to be ignored.
I see that as, you see, like how we're talking about the parliament within the Congress, and then the next set of people not with it and who not with it. It's because Rastafari in general, as you said, the king himself, in a Haile Selassie, is the one who gave the word organize, centralize. Wow. And we've failed. I wouldn't say we haven't tried it. Some of us try and attempt, but it is not Rastafari as a nation. Forget about what you would call the houses then. As Rastafari, definitely there's no governance, there's no head, there's nothing that you could say, yeah, this is the head of Rastafari. And then all the Rastas say, yeah, man, that's our head there. All pay allegiance to the head and whatever. No, we just there, just Rast. Yes, Rasta man, what you say? And we just there, we're moving through, look, the Rast is there. And that's how people perceive us, you know. Sometimes when they come, see, like that's why when people come to Bubble Hill and say they marble, and I say, wait, this is what we're into. We never know all this. What? Man, read Bible, Psalms, what? They flip. Because they didn't expect that. They just start Rast. We Irie, you know, and we just one away. And we get together. It's like a little club.
And that is an indictment. They are just indict, you know. They are just stated an indictment, because what they speak, I got flashback. They give I a flash forward.
I see it in your face.
Yeah, when I remember the Congress Rasta,
right.
How it used to function. I remember being up there and I get a knock on the door. The guard come check. I say, some bingy man down at the gate come for check. I man come pay a visit. Because them here say I man come in from overseas and then. When I look, it's the same Rasta. I have V and a whole range of big bingy administrators.
Yes,
come in, and them coming at the camp, and the man was elated. The man not stopped about that visit. It started out like a rough though, you know, because the guard wouldn't let them in, because them have a turned down red. The guard wouldn't let them in. So a virgin come check I, and I go to the father, and I tell the father, I say, well, some virgin from the bingy house come check and thing, them just a pass through and compare respects and thing. But this is the incident. The father send word to the guard and say, yo, no, you see, when visitor like that come, send for the man who them come to, make him deal with them. That meaning, say, if I did tell them, if two them come check, if I did tell them, say, brethren, if you can leave that, or you can, they might take it a little better than when the guard try enforce it as a,
I like that.
Yeah, so it's just being able to give it in a certain palatable way that people receive it, you know, and not spit it out. So that is what the Father. But anyway, I rushed down to the gate by the Father's word and was able to bring peace and calm and allow the man them for come in, how them dress.
Bless.
You know, so them come in and them coming at the gathering, chalice burning, reason with the Father, them come around by the priest's house, chalice burning, and when the hour came, we allowed them to do the prayer. The virgin stopped up all that no, because the man said, unlike even upper we at Bingy, him say you could hear a pin drop when that moment came and him was praying, because I gave them the full reverence, you know, see, of the moment. See, and at the time we were having a youth banquet in the yard, inside of the yard. Tabernacle.
IRV.
It was IRV, Bongo, Joe, couple of the brethren them. It was about 4 brethren, 5 brethren came in that ride there. But it was, like I said, top rank in man. But they were so, because our youth them were reciting, you know, Bible quotes and whatever. You know, them was our young priests them, so them sharp like weapon, you see it. And it was just a lovely moment watching the princess and the youth man them do their skits and thing, and you know, it impressed them. And I think it helped to even inspire them, because later on they have come to be doing stuff like that now as part of their way too. So more time we learn from one another without even acknowledging it. But I saw it go.
And they sit and talk with King Emmanuel too.
Yes, my Lord, the Father greeted them. They got a chance to greet him and heal him and reason with him, little, you know, see it. And then they were free to come sit in with I, and they came and sit in the house of priest and chalice and reasoning and nice vibe. No animosity, no talk of no.
Yeah, man,
no
I love that. That's the testimonies I like to hear. But yeah, my Lord, as I said before, we seal too. And I don't know how long this might take itself in this segment here, but JAH Bunny, I don't really know him that much.
Yes.
And I covered the topic a couple of times, so for the listeners that with me, I don't even have to go into it, but just in a nutshell, he said Bongo Eddie passed in 1970, and there seems to be a few.
You know, it's not the first time. That's not the first time, you know. It's not him alone who all that, you know.
No, I've heard it before. This is what I'm saying. There's the next brethren there that Honorable I just start interview, and I've heard some mystic things, you know, about his two Emmanuel and so from some legitimate Bingy elders. I'm telling you, you know, that they're two Prince Emmanuels, and maybe in the early times when I heard it, I wouldn't say I dismissed it, but now I'm maturing and hearing other things. I go back for them things I've heard. You know what I mean? I have witnesses with me that could say, yeah, man, I remember when the mama tell us that. So the way, before you come, let me show you how I look at it now. You know, it's not always the case as it is right and wrong. You know, sometimes a man can only tell you maybe what he perceives. You know what I mean? That I did a program the other day, right, when I was speaking about a lot of the tribulation King Emmanuel went through. And there have many times when people thought he was dead. You know, Priest Zebi tell us the story of what of 1958 when they threw him in the ambulance and carried him to the morgue because they thought he was dead. Even the man writing the Gleaner that he dead. When he fallen off of the ladder and he dropped down the time from the 3 stories, people thought he was dead. So, you know, I mean, obviously we know King Emmanuel are 80s and 90s. Some man I hear this story that's Bongo Eddie brother. All kind of man. But you tell me what you know of this, my lord, and let me leave it at that.
Well, the thing is, my brethren, you know, like I said, it's not a new story. Okay, a whole heap of myths and a whole heap of folklores have been spoken about them. You know, and that is one of them. Things did happen though, because remember now, in early days, when it come to death, I was paranoid.
Yeah, paranoid.
very paranoid to this to the level of schizophrenia. So when a man pass, and especially a high-ranking bobo, first of all, every man scatter. No one now go back near that specific abode. See? And then now his personal brethren, them being the religionists that we were at that time, going off of the Bible, thought that through the power of the Almighty in 3 days the body would rise.
So wait, hold on. We talk about in 1970.
We are talking about in 1966 this up.
What did you get that?
70 man, remember 70 when we move out of Bulbian.
Okay, so in the 1966, who we talking about here now?
We're talking about a brethren passed in the camp.
Okay.
And one's left him in the camp until he was smelling, and then neighbors, people call
right.
Babylon.
He's the one that named Solo.
Pardon me?
He named Solo or something like that.
I don't want to tell you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Exactly, but
yeah.
It could be.
Okay, you can't.
But like I say, one thing I know it to be from the factual event of the father telling the story. The father didn't call the name, but the father himself telling the story. Is that the person was a brethren to the father. That means he was a high-ranking Bobo. In those days, Bobo, not only Bobo, but the Rasta leaders them, they assume their biblical persona. You understand? Like, oh, you had the repairer of the breach was Henry, and you know, all of them had different names.
Sons of Thunder.
Yeah, Sons of Thunder. All these different names that they assume. So this was a high-ranking Bobo that passed. See? And the fact that the man them now go touch him because them is Rasta and them now go look on him dead and all of them things at them time. That the paranoia that we had, because death wasn't as prevalent as it is today, and the reality of it didn't come into play as it is into play today. So anyway, the man them left the body there and sound God, so the man them saying 3 days it will rise and whatever, and till it just get away, and became a scandal. That scandal, we have yet to live it down. But in that scandal, the sound God says Prince Emmanuel.
My Lord.
And that I in the camp was waiting for Prince Emmanuel to rise. So there's man who don't never see, you know. Him never see with him one eye, you know, and just hear these rumors, just like how we always hear different rumors and make them the fact.
Wow.
So yeah, man who believes that other died, like there is several times. The beating with the G, the beating out of the park. And then the headline on the newspaper the next day say Rasta leader dead.
Wow.
See, then with that circumstance again, it's a Rasta leader dead, and the followers refuse to bury him and say he's gonna rise in 3 days. So the word go around says Prince Emmanuel that. Now again, we must remember now, you know, the word Emmanuel was accepted by several ones too, you know, not just that. That has become more profoundly known by it. But remember, you know, what the word Emmanuel mean is what he was assuming to himself, you know.
Like the biblical characters. We get you, man?
God with us. God with us, not God up in the sky. It was a philosophy, you know. The word was a philosophy itself, you know. And that is part of the lesson that we need to learn and to stop looking at things, you know, just from that religious, you know, outlook. The man assumed a character, seeing, which meant what the name signifies. God with us. He became our Black Christ, the redeemer of the Black race in the Western Hemisphere. You know, he became that example of perfection, of purification. Because that is what he said. He said a camp yard where you could come and purify yourself, get rid of the world's residues that you had adapted in and that was beaten in, and whatever way you took it in, you were able to see back yourself now and rise your Christ consciousness and your Black African self. but people just look at the thing, Emmanuel, and not realizing you might have had other brethren we call themselves Emmanuel too, you know. But the Prince Emmanuel that kept the 1958 convention.
You have the seven Emmanuel brethren.
Right.
Oh, you're the historian, man. You know all that, man.
Yeah, the disciples, yeah. Like I told you, it was not one person calling themselves Emmanuel back then. But the shepherd who kept the 1958 groundation that concretized the dreadlocks liberty round a Nazareth, round a Bakawal, it's a man that I and I come know as Dada, I and I father. That much we know as fact. So anybody want to attest to something else, that's them. I and I live with the man.
So technically, you know, you're showing me something I didn't know. So it's twice the paper say that this one dead. One time in headline. Wow. But that heavy, man, that just that whole stick, I don't know if it's a stigma you want to call it, but that whole death energy that follow him. You know?
I remember people want to say this and that. The Queen herself responded to his letters, you know, which she don't respond to just individual letters like that, you know. That is not something that the royal throne does. So she knew who the man was by his works, you know, and his communication with her over the years. We knew that it got to her, or it got to her crown then. Whichever way you want to look at it. It got to her crown because we got official response with her stamping, seal and everything coming back from her. See? And when we were in jeopardy of being forced off that piece of property, it was she who interceded and made the government leave us alone.
10 miles moving.
She stated that we are crown subjects. Emmanuel was a crown subject, and that was crown land that he was on. So the government had no authority to trouble him.
What was the definition of a crown subject? What's that? What exactly what does that mean for you?
She recognized him. She recognized him in whatever capacity she recognizes him. Or her crown and her realm recognizes that. Understand? So that states that she had some recognition for him. I'm not trying to paint. I now try to find this.
I know you're the last man I can do that. You just
that was a representation that came back on. The guy came and said they wanted, we had to move because they wanted the spot to build a school. Up to now, we're not seeing a new school building in Bulbay. So we know it's a folly. They might try to get me up because we were organizing again and becoming a force right there. So Dada get upset, and Dada said, well, you know, we're not moving this time. No more, we're not moving. Him said to the politician, say, tell me how much you want for the property.
The
politician said him can't speak to that. He will go back to his superiors and deal with it. When he went back to his superiors to deal with it, that is what happened. He came back with a letter, seeing, and that letter was left for the man them after Turks them left then after that passed. That letter was still there. You know, don't know what them do with that letter, but there was a letter given by the politician that gives I and I the right to be on the property. It does not give us the paper to it. It's not, I'm not saying that it's a land grant, but it gives us a right to be there because it is crown land, and the crown, the British crown who owns the land, say we have the right to be there. Saying
heavy stuff.
That's the only reason we were not pushed off that land. And why? Because Dada communicated uprightly with her, demanding justice and equal rights for the people. It wasn't demanding nothing different. It was demanding justice for him people. And the way that I demanded it so uprightly and made his case so clear, seeing, she became familiar with the man, with his writing, not so much so that she responded. When she thought it was important to respond, she responded.
Pause, man. No pause. And I think you kind of clear. Only one thing, you know, since you're talking about the pushing down the camp, and so what came back to mind is that Brother JAH Bunny was saying he was specifying that in 67 when Joe Williams pushed down back a wall, as he put it, Bongo any camp wasn't pushed down. What do you know about that one?
I joke him, man.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
We were from Nazareth to Capernaum to Bethlehem, to every camp that Dada established was destroyed by the forces.
Okay, fair enough.
Burnt down, shoot up. The last one was when we established it out of 11 mile out past Bull Bay there. We established our 14 mile out by past Bull Bay there, where Dada was setting up a tabernacle on the front page. The man come shoot it up and burn it down. Them time they are not hill, same way. See? So even into this modern times, the man them still come back from see the history is there. You know, the book where man just launched, you know, the Rastafari in the 21st century. It gives you an in-depth chronicle of the different camps, what they were named, and how they were destroyed. One of the time that escape was just to close him head and him back. You understand? So when we are asking for reparations from the neo-colonial government, when the neo-colonial government of Jamaica want to say that they have set up a reparations committee and they are negotiating with the world authorities for reparations for Jamaican people. No, them talking about somebody else, not Rastafari. They are culpable. The neo-colonial government of Jamaica, those governments that have inherited their seat of power since independence, are culpable in trying to eradicate and destroy Rastafari from the Coral Gardens incident come right up. You understand? So, no. Justice is what we demand.
My lord, the time I know still for different motion, but you know, we're coming up to the Lenten period, you know, the 2nd of March. So many things I could ask, you know, but any word you could give on that, I mean, especially as a man that would have seen it in action, you know, anything that you could just give on that, you know, close to the closing up remarks.
You see, the Lent period, apart from being a ritual and a religious ritual at that, the discipline, it's called a discipline. The discipline of fasting has its power and its purpose. For one, as a house, we need to have a theme that we are fasting for, a purpose for which we are fasting. Like you had times when Dada said, well, we are fasting for equal rights and justice.
True, man. True. Oh, man.
But we need to be fasting as a unit with one mindset. All of us going into the fast, knowing that we are fasting for freedom this year. We are fasting for, you understand? Because a power we are generating, you know, we are creating a vibration that creates a power. See, and for that power to have that impact, it has to have that oneness. It's like when we chanted around Jericho wall and we were in silence 6th time, and in the 7th time, we were in unison, one voice. And that power that it creates bring down the wall. That's the power we're trying to create going into this fast. That's what the Lent fast is for building your inner strength, your spiritual strength, but also for creating, you know, conjuring and creating a weapon. That what we do, we are weaponizing our energy to remove the obstacles that stand before us. So we need to be fasting as a house with a purpose, a oneness. See,
yeah, man.
And fasting is a preparation as well. If we are fasting the full order, we're going on it, and we are only coming down for an hour or 2 hours to eat. Ones need to prepare their body. You need to fully hydrate, because this is about health. This is not about fanaticism. We are destroying our temple at the same time. So we need to prepare. You need to stock up on your provisions, that when you do come down off your fast, you have all the nutrients that your body require. You have your smoothie, you have your, you know, that having your legumes, your nuts, your whatever, you know. You have to have your sip, you know, drink your tea as you come down to make sure so you get rid of whatever air you intake and full up the abdomen. You know, it's a preparation, and if you can't do it right, we do harm. And my brother,
Yes,
you're listening to a professional right now, because I have seen it harm holy power span the hill. Majority of I and I who left off of that hill after the father passed had a stomach problem. Priest Rocco died from it. Ask how much of the breathing whether it was ulcerated or we had what they call H. pylori. We had a thing eating away at the walls of our intestine, at the wall of our stomach. It's called H. pylori. It's a bacteria. See, I found out, and I got treatment for priest glass for several brethren in Miami, because we all were healing from it. We got it from off of the hill. See, so part of that is the water, bad water that we drunk coming out of some of them barrels there. Life is about, yes, we can be poor.
How you put the fasting with that though? You think it's the nutrients that we put in after the fast?
Yes, we're not. We weren't, and we didn't prepare going on to the fast. Sometimes you come off of the road. Sometimes you're late. You don't even get for even eat up. I've come in and I come in off of the road already and late. That we don't even get to feed up. We have to just go straight on the fast because the fast start. Now you have to go fast straight till the next day before you can eat something, before you can drink something. See, your body, when your body gets dehydrated, it affects your internal organs. Facts, this is science. Your hydration is very important. That's why I see them have, even when I'm training youths. Youths have several water periods when them stop within the game. So them have them water. With the big man, them you have half time. So the man them go rehydrate. Hydrating is key. Dehydration is a thing that damages your internal organs. So a lot of things that we did back then, see, eating cornmeal porridge and cornmeal things at 11 o'clock at night, when we come down off a fast, or when we have gone through days of non-eating, we eat it and then we're going to lay down with that. A lot of us created ulcers. A lot of them think they created ulcers. So we have to look at how we eat if we want longevity. Prepare for your fasting period. Lent is coming up. Get into the mindset. Fast with a purpose. One, prepare the body, hydrate the body. Make sure that your combination of nutrients that you eat when you come down to feed are high. You have to have a multiple of vitamins and trace minerals in that meal combined to replenish what you are putting out, especially if you are working while you are fasting. If you are just sitting up in a monastery doing nothing, you're not expelling too much energy. It's one thing. But when you're out there doing mind work and body work, physical work, you're expelling a lot. So you have to replenish it. And that is one of the problems, that we faced as priests in the monastery back then, fasting as poor people. Not even you getting like a banana water when service come down, and when fasting come down, you rock your fast and all them things. That's some soldier job, Give thanks. I and I learn how to do without, but it come back and harm us when you look at the ailments of the elders. Who have passed on. Yeah, who have passed on at 60 and 65 and 70 and all of them, when them there's young age.
You see, that's why I know this whole thing, this is, as you said earlier, the king said he not moving no more. You see, this is like a story playing out, Trust me, it's a very, very mystic story playing out, and the timeline and everything, how he took us, where he took us from. Even the whole fish eating thing, I always tell ones, listen, that to me, that was just a staging for where we were taken from, and everything is staged, everything are stages, because
evolution, we have to evolve.
Right, because let me show you, even not digging anyone, but like celebration time, that elders that will tell you, man, we doing it how Jah do it. You have to get the white flour and mix it with the wheat flour, and make it bind, and then you fry that one down, and which you see, as you were saying, a lot of ones not aware, that was the situation at the time. You know what I mean? The ones that born in this thing, Chris Jaman was just showing me the other day. Priest Jaman, you know, Priest Rabbi and I can't remember his mama name. But anyway, he's showing that, hey man, this white dumpling and the scallion with us fried in the coconut oil, and little tea. That's what we used to eat before we go sleeping, and we feel we have the world. That's what he's showing me, you know. And so it's not as if, you know, it's not a religious thing and we sitting amongst Christ and all the angels bring down all the grapes and the orange every night. Yet still at the same time, you know, we sustain ourselves. We know King Emmanuel is a man that sent the country and get his cane and his jelly and his fruits and etc. etc. But it's a process. It was just like how we go into the process, as you were saying. Even the African mission is a process. Everything was a process. It's not those,
and the
you know,
energy
snap
of the
your
time.
finger.
And the energy of the
Right.
time.
So we need to step out now because, okay, it's like how we break the cup fast with the water and the bread. Okay, all right. What about a man that don't eat bread? Got a man that reach them levels now. It's not a sin to say they eat bread. Like my lord, so just do it, you know. And, okay, what about breadfruit then? I mean, I just kind of play with the word. Something to eat. It don't have to be bread. That man that don't put flour in there.
Because
and then you might want to stress it have to be wheat bread because it's wheat bread the man set and not spelled.
It's symbolic, Aya.
Exactly.
Those rituals are symbolism, Aya. Those rituals are symbolism. The breaking of the bread is symbolic. Don't you tell you what it is supposed to represent? The flesh of Christ. See, the thing supposed to represent the blood of Christ. These are symbolisms, Aya. These are not, you know, we tend to literalize and try to go back in time too much.
But King, that's where we are. Trust me, that's whether we like it or not, take it from me. That's exactly where we are.
Yes, and that is what is holding us back from doing what needs to be done now. We don't see the God in ourselves. We talk about God.
When a man tell you this to me, that's when a man tell you, my lord, you have to get the white flour and mix it with the wheat. You can't just do the wheat by itself. That's what just show us. Listen, when I hear them talk, I say, wow, we have Father going on because
what?
No, you know that, you know how the thing going, like you live it.
Yes, man. we don't, like I said, we're not seeing the God in ourselves. We're not seeing that we have the power to evolve. We have the power to look at now and put things in place that is relevant to right now, from the God within us, from the right within us. If we are doing a thing from the right within us, you can't wrong, you know. You understand? It's the intent, you know, that is the key to the act, you know. The intent. Why did you do it? I did it out of the goodness of my heart. Then something negative might come out of it, you know, because the attempt failed. But what was the initial attempt?
You see,
the attempt to do something good.
I always
you can't convict a man for that.
I always tell ones that might be younger than me in this faith. I mean, when they come in, I always say, listen, King, this Empress, whatever it is, this is a thing you have to watch and learn. This is a watch and learn thing. You can't just, you know, even if you can't just say you pick a teacher and then he can teach you everything or whatever. You have to really watch and learn, because a man will even a young one, a man will tell you, okay, elder man will say, listen, the thing them that the eye them doing, I never know about that. And then a younger man will tell you, you're right, you know, but when the eye me make a move and I came in, Jadi changed that. And I see it all the time. Ones will tell you, listen, my lord, a time ago, you couldn't bring no crackers on the camping. You couldn't bring no rappers. The other time you couldn't bring no rappers, Whistler, where people use a rap spliff. I don't know what was going on there. Man said, my lord, man search your bag and said, just say, you know, one of them things in here. You know, so you could see it's just different levels.
Stages, man. Different stages. This week they had on the study group, they were talking about vine, Huskan kernel, the eating habits of Bobo.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get involved in the reasoning because I didn't want to change their focus. But for like all I have seen, I'm gonna talk about myself last. But I've seen sisters wherein they themselves and their children go to the clinic and they are diagnosed with rickets, anemia. They're not being fed. They're not being fed enough nutrients, so they are anemic. So they give them. They tell them to eat egg and meat, and when we tell them, so no, we don't eat that. Then they try to give them now another diet that is veg friendly. Now, within that diet, pumpkin is part of it, tomatoes, so there's certain things that are part of it. And I've seen the father allow daughters to feed their children and brethren to eat certain things. I myself have been allowed to eat certain things because I had the H. pylori. I told you I had a bad stomach problem. When I start to vomit and certain things back then, for I, this is something that has been done for I, vomiting and thing the whole night and thing. On the Sabbath, you know, the word reach on to the father, say I'm around the sick and vomiting. 3 o'clock in the day on Sabbath day, Jah call priest Jackie and tell him to light the fire and for boil him up some tea and thing. My father is not a fanatic. Do that
clear understanding, man.
I am testifying from the truth of I man life.
And if you light the fire, put to death, man.
The father light the fire at 3 o'clock the day and made the brethren make tea for I man because I was vomiting.
Yeah.
See, my father is a realist brethren. So I have to take life with understanding. We're not talking to deliberately step up on our principles and discard them because they don't suit us. We're not talking about that. We're talking about applying rigidity only when necessary. You understand?
Understanding.
Like the father said, if your donkey fall long in the whole pan Sabbath, and it's your one donkey that is what you have to help you through the 6 days. Where you going to do? You're going to allow him in the world for dead, or you're going to take him out? I know, say if I and I have any sense, we're going to take him out. We take him out and we say, Jah forgive, give thanks, bless.
Forgive. Give thanks. My Lord, I have to seal it here. You don't know that the Lent reasoning though. I want us to reason again during the Lent sometime and Lent specifically, you know.
Just on Lent, yeah, man.
That alone, nothing else.
Yeah, man, it's a discipline for itself,
yeah, and your legal experience and some 1 or 2 things. And I like the reason about the black over white and the full white and the Good Friday, but we don't have to touch upon that right now. Let's wait until then. But outside of that, any sealing words, my Lord, that you would like to leave with, you know what I mean, the universal?
Well, I give thanks, you know, in this time, you know, as we see, we're living in a precarious time, you know, pandemic and all kinds of erosions of different levels, you know, find togetherness, you know. It's time for I and I to put aside the petty differences and find togetherness. That brotherly love. We need it. That's our only way, you know, to rebuild this liberty, this Bobo Ashanti liberty, the priesthood order. We have to become our brothers' keepers and our sisters' keepers. You know, we have to put aside ways of the world if we are children of the Almighty, living in the realm of God. Most High. Well, Emmanuel,
Rastafari.
Yes, I.
Well, my Lord, give thanks. Give thanks to the royal family. Give thanks to each and every one. And my Lord, that we will just, both of us will just exit the same time in the name of the Black Christ. My Lord.
Blessings, I am. Give thanks.